Elijah is Yoda, Elisha is Luke Skywalker, and we are all Baby Yoda. Oh, and spoiler alert in this episode, just in case you haven't seen Season 2 of The Mandalorian yet. Hi everyone, I'm Reverend Jim Keat, the digital minister at the Riverside Church, and this is The Word Made Fresh, a weekly video Bible study and sermon prep resource where we look at an upcoming lectionary text, and today we're looking at 2 Kings chapter 2, verses 1 through 12. Now, we're not going to go through it verse by verse because there's a lot of verses, 12 of them to be exact, and really I just want us to look at the two characters in this story, the role they play in their world, and what all that might mean for our world. Sound good? 2 Kings 2, verses 1 through 12 tells the story of the prophetic mantle being passed from Elijah to Elisha. We're first introduced to Elijah in 1 Kings 17, where he predicts a drought, raises a widow's son from the dead, takes on the corrupt empire led by King Ahab, and a few other things. And then in 1 Kings 19, Elijah runs for his life and eventually meets Elisha, who becomes his disciple. And now here in 2 Kings chapter 2, Elijah is about to pull an Enoch and board a fiery chariot to heaven, and Elisha insists on following him to the very end. And just before the end, Elijah asks Elisha what he wants. Elisha's request is simple: a double share of Elijah's spirit, which kind of sounds weird to us, but really what it means is something like, if Elijah could do so much, then Elisha wants to do twice as much. And so Elijah tells Elisha that if he sees him depart, then he'll have it. And it just turns out that this story ends up with exactly that happening. Elisha sees him go, he picks up Elijah's mantle, and he moves from being disciple to prophet. Only this is where things get really interesting, because that whole double share thing that Elisha asked for, that's exactly what happened. So this is a list of all the miracles that the text tells us Elijah performed, and that last one happened right here in this text from 2 Kings chapter 2. And then throughout the next few chapters of 2 Kings, we see Elisha doing his thing as prophet, and guess how many miracles Elisha performs? 16. Twice as many. Like, literally a double. But what does all this have to do with Yoda, Luke Skywalker, and Baby Yoda? Well, maybe I've just been thinking about The Mandalorian too much lately, but I couldn't help but see the stories of Yoda and Luke all over the story of Elijah and Elisha. Elijah is the iconic prophet, aka Jedi, who is forced into hiding after fighting the Empire, just like Yoda on Dagobah in The Empire Strikes Back. And then he trains his disciple, aka Padawan, and sends him out to be even more powerful to oppose the corrupt power of the dark side, aka any king or kingdom worshipping a false god and perpetuating injustice. But my favorite thing in thinking about these stories in this particular way is that we know that they don't just end there. Like Star Wars, Luke goes on to train more Jedi who will go on to do even greater things than him. And I'm not talking about Rey and Kylo Ren from the latest Star Wars trilogy. I'm talking about Grogu, Baby Yoda from The Mandalorian. And the best part about Grogu's story, Baby Yoda's story, is we don't exactly know what happens next with Luke and Baby Yoda. We just know that it happens, and it's full of potential.
May the Force be with you.
Maybe we'll find out more in Season 3. And that's how I like to imagine the story of Elisha. The work of God doesn't end with Elisha's death, but it continues on, even in us today. The power of these stories from the Bible isn't whether or not they happened, but the fact that they keep happening. Besides, the whole Bible's true, and some of it even happened. And in a story like this, I love seeing how the disciple of one prophet, the Padawan of a Jedi, goes on to do twice as much as the previous one. And then what happens? We don't know, because we're still in the middle of it. We are called to prophetic words and actions in the world around us, doing double, triple, 10 times as much as Elisha and Luke Skywalker ever did. And I don't mean levitating rocks or parting the water of a river, but the simple yet profound actions of love and justice that we can do all around us. Love your neighbor, oppose injustice. All of these things, small to big, make a difference. Because a prophet doesn't tell the future, a prophet tells the truth. They don't tell you what's going to happen, they tell you what's happening right now. And yes, I know that the stories of Elijah and Elisha include some moments where they predict a drought or something like that, but really I like to think of that as leaning on the ecological environment to comment on the current political and sociological situation. So all this to say, Elijah is Yoda, Elisha is Luke Skywalker, and we are Baby Yoda. So what do you think of all this? How would you describe a prophet, and what does it mean for us to be prophetic in our world today? Go ahead and leave a comment below with your thoughts, or just say, may the force be with you, or this is the way. And then we'll be back here next week with another episode of The Word Made Fresh.